kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels slow motion, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me.
After the race that took us as north as we're going to go, we're back in the Carolinas, this time in Concord, North Carolina, and Concord Speedway for round number 10 of the Super Late Model AI Series. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. Alongside me, my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso. Tony, it was a wild one at Thompson last week. This week, it's going to be crazy again. It's a very small track, high banked, very, very wide here in Concord.
It is very, very wide, but it races a lot narrower than the track looks. This is not the easiest track we're going to see to get around, especially coming through turn 3. This is going to be a very difficult and challenging track for these drivers to try to negotiate tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Concord essentially being a smaller, higher banked and a flipped version of Pocono. Now, typically, for Pocono, you have the long straightaway down at the start-finish line and between turns 1 and 2. Here you have the long straightaway on the start-finish line and between turns 2 and 3 here. This is going to be a very unique racetrack from what we've seen, well, 1 with this series and 2 on the network. Again, high-banked oval, not Charlotte, though.
Definitely not Charlotte, though it is in the greater Charlotte Metroplex, shall we say. only about 15 minutes north from Charlotte proper. But, I mean, this track's only been around since 1982, but it has some big names that have come through here, Frank.
Yep, it absolutely has, and we'll take a look at those names in just a moment. But right now, we'll take a look at the current point standings. Venturini still sitting 1 and 2 with Corey Heim and Toni Breidinger, 10 points separating those two. Breidinger able to bring it down just a little bit. Tanner Reef up there, Walt Clow, Derek Griffiths. Still, we're just in the second half of the season. We have a long way to go yet still in this championship.
We very much do, and the fact that the points battle is still as tight as it is, with no definitive person really getting that breakout yet, there's still a lot up for grabs.
Certainly.
And all it takes is one bad race.
Absolutely, and it was certainly what we were aiming for with this series, and the way it was set up, wanted the racing to go all the way right up until the end, and we're glad to see that is exactly what is happening. So we'll go to the racetrack now. As there is Sammy Smith right now, 13th quickest car, but I have a feeling that's something we're going to be seeing a lot here today, is one car leading a pack.
Pretty much, yeah. You basically have to pull the old Dale Jr. slide job to get anything done here and really stack up the momentum of whoever you're trying to pass on corner exit. Otherwise, you're going to see side by side for most of tonight.
So our championship leader, Corey Heim, now ahead of this pack, but you can see it's plenty wide. Side by side racing is definitely going to be a thing here without too much worry about getting put in the wall, just the same way we saw at Thompson last week.
It is, but we still saw some incidents happen at Thompson. I guarantee you we're going to see turn 3 become Calamity Corner before the night is out.
There you see why. From banking and wide to flat and narrow, it is certainly going to be a very tricky little track to get a handle on, and also one, you had mentioned, it races a lot narrower than it looks. This is a track that also can deceive you because you look like you can go a heck of a lot quicker around here than you actually can.
Well, the biggest problem with this track, and it takes a little bit of getting used to, from the time you enter turn 1 to the time you exit turn 2, you never stop turning the car. You get a little bit of a breather in between 2 and 3, and then you really have to jump on the binders and sometimes even grab a gear to get it to rotate through turn 3, and then you're back accelerating down the front chute, and before you know it, you're back into turn 1, and you really have to be up on the steering wheel from the time the green flag drops until checkered flag flies, and you don't really get a reprieve.
Oh, you really don't, as we're about to begin our hot lap qualifying session. As it looks as though, keeping up with tradition, it'll be Trevor Huddleston, the first one to roll off.
Shocker.
Wayne Stokes, podium finish last week. 3 new drivers to the podium last week. 3 drivers we'd not seen on the podium yet this year. Colby Howard taking the win, Dominic Lopez second, and this man, Wayne Stokes, coming home in the 3rd spot as he is about to begin his just about to end his first qualifying time. And right now it'll be Corey Heim up on pole.
Yeah, Corey Heim blistering one right now, and I expect both those Venturini cars to be towards the front most of the night because it really falls into both Heim and Breidinger's wheelhouse as far as tracks that they seem to do well at. The more technical the track is, the better those 2 Venturini cars seem to do.
Everyone has finished qualifying except for this man right here, Andy Allen. Jumps up to 3rd, a very good time, and a mixed bag up towards the front. Corey Heim takes the pole, but it's Carson Quapple, the highest we've seen him all season long, starting in 2nd.
And Andy Allen, after a miserable race last week at Thompson, starting in the top 5, as well as McDonald, those cars starting towards the front, that's not a good omen for the rest of the field.
Carson Quapple, again, this is really his first big showing of the season thus far, as we will now head to the grid. Corey Heim with a time of 15.2 dead will take the pole. Carson Quapple, again, as we had just mentioned, will start second. Andy Allen and Walt Clow will make up row 2. Quapple and Allen actually tied, but Quapple set the lap first, so he will sit on the outside of the front row. Eddie McDonald and Dominic Lopez will make up row 3, with Trevor Huddleston and Cole Moore in row 4. Austin Maynard and Parker Traves in row 5. Sammy Smith and Wayne Stokes will make up row number 6. Row 7 goes to Austin Herzog and Toni Breidinger, with Derek Kraus and Colby Howard making up row number 8.
It's going to show us John Moore and Ty Majeski. Row number 10 is going to go to Derek Smith and Josh Berry. Blaine Roca and Mark Wirtz in that Wirtz Racing 55 are going to roll off in row number 11. Kind of shocking here is both those Sunrise Fords are starting very deep in the field. Jake Drew going to start in row number 12 next to Gio Selzy. Sean Woodside is going to make up row number 13 with Tanner Reef. Starting shotgun on the field is going to be Jeremy Doss in that Doss Motorsports number 75. So 27 cars scheduled to roll off here tonight, Frank. It's definitely going to be an interesting dichotomy that we're going to see.
Absolutely. And for Doss, this breaks a streak of a couple of consecutive weeks of qualifying up in the top 10 and having a couple of nice little runs over the last couple of goes. Taking a look at the weather conditions for today. Hey, we got the date back. Just past noon here at Concord. 6-mile-an-hour winds blowing towards the west. 72-degree ambient temperature, but a hot racetrack at 109 degrees Fahrenheit, and it'll only get hotter as the sun is now at its highest point.
It is at that, and these Hoosiers tend to get really greasy, more so than the Continentals or the Goodyears do, on tracks with a triple-digit number for the temperature. So we're going to see a lot of slipping and sliding after maybe about 10 laps of using up the goodie on these tires here tonight.
Now
Go ahead. I was going to say notable names that have won here in similar conditions. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has won here. Jack Sprague has won here. Ernie Irvin, Bobby Labonte, Justin Labonte, Clay Rogers, Jimmy Simpson, Bobby Gill, Dale Earnhardt Sr. Guys like that have won here. And if you can win here, you can win just about anywhere in the country.
Absolutely. Some of the top names have come through here as typical with this series. It's been a lot of the top names have cut their teeth at racetracks like what we've gone on, and it's unfortunate that as far as league racing goes, we don't see too many of these racetracks getting play again, which is why this series is a thing.
Very much so. And, that's one thing I'm glad that, we were able to bring to iRacing. And Frank, you need to adjust your screen on your left there.
Okay.
You've got a encroachment on your main screen.
Okay.
But that's one of the things I'm glad we were able to do in iRacing is bring those tracks and car combinations that we don't normally get to see. Being as the top 3 touring divisions in NASCAR are generally king of what you're going to see for most league races, and I use that term loosely. A lot of leagues, they want to run the top 3 divisions, and they forget how much fun a super late model can be, how much fun a touring modified can be. The lower tiers, if you will. I mean, guys are still spending buku bucks here, but it's definitely something that. Sorry, that wasn't your screen. That was my screen. But, definitely these guys are still spending buku bucks to get these cars to this track. But, this is where you get that you hone your race craft, are in these lower divisions like the Super Late Model Series, like the Tour Modifieds. And most people are going to start out in a bomber class or a street stock class and then work their way up the progression. But I mean, let's face it, you're talking $50,000 for just a rolling chassis, no body on it yet. And then some of the top tier super late model engines, that's going to run you another 50 grand. Then to hang the body, you're looking between 5 and 6, and then another 20 grand for, just a one car hauler to get your gear to the track. And that's not including, paying for the race weekend, because with live tire stops, you're going to have 5 or 6 buddies that are going to be able to go with you on a weekend. So hotel rooms and, travel expenses, they add up. So, I mean, you're looking a race to race budget. Once you've got the car in hand, you're still looking at a race to race budget of around 7 to 8 grand before you pay for fuel and tires for the weekend.
And that certainly does show with some of these races as cars are getting set to go here, coming around turn number 1 for the final time before we go back to green flag racing. 175 laps here, Tony. Let's get it going.
Absolutely. As the field works its way through the 2-3 complex, pace car peels on off. The only thing that's left for me to say is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab some popcorn and some barbecue. It's time to get it on in North Carolina. Race fans, it's showtime.
Corey Heim already out to a solid lead. Eddie McDonald, though, on the inside line, kind of blocking up that inside line. And we've seen that around certain racetracks with these AI. They don't like running the inside. Looks like McDonald might be in that position right now.
Well, McDonald does have a nose out in front of Walt Clow. Clow, though, using that top lane to defend. McDonald gets the advantage on corner entry. Clow still has the advantage on corner exit, though, because he's able to not pinch that car down and let it run just a little more free through the corners. McDonald could have come up there, and had this not been a computer-controlled car, we probably would have seen him work his way up, as we are still side by side about 20 deep.
It's quite amazing, again, to see how much side-by-side racing we can get with these series at some of these racetracks. As we take a look back at the midfield, as that is Austin Herzog in the 11, now with Ty Majeski in the 91. Behind him is Majeski trying to look to the inside, and he will. He'll push Herzog to the outside, and that actually might have helped the 11 out.
It did. I don't think that Herzog was looking to go to the top lane, but that second shelf is really starting to pay some dividends. That's where we're seeing a lot of guys able to make some moves on the outside, as we're looking at the back end of the second place in points. Toni Breidinger right now, as Herzog now works the outside of Breidinger, and just like that, Herzog up a couple positions.
Yep, and there goes the 45 of Sean Woodside as well. And you can see from this camera angle how tight that turn 2 is. It's not like Pocono where it's kind of wider than the rest of the corners. Right here, it's quite a turn around here.
It is, but you can just about take it flat foot in most cars. Maybe late in the run when the tires are completely whooped, you might have to burp it to get it to initiate the rotation. But for the most part, once you come out of turn number 1 and go up towards the wall, you just mat it till you get to turn 3. Turn 3 is where it really tightens up.
Absolutely, and that's part of the reason why we're seeing guys on the inside have so much issue coming out of turn 2, is because that corner is so tight, and being forced to keep it on the bottom like Toni Breidinger there in the 25, it can get a little bit dicey. Now, all throughout this season, we have seen the leader be able to get out to a big lead, and then once we hit the back of the field again, then it starts to come back. That's not what we're seeing here, as Corey Heim may have the lead, but Andy Allen and Carson Quapple, for that matter, also right there, the top 3 running a second and a half clear of the rest of the field.
Now, this is something we haven't really seen a lot this season out of Allen or Quapple, because they're normally starting deeper in the pack. The fact that they're so far towards the front, that could be a good, note for them. Starting that far forward, they're not going to have to be in that melee that we saw back in the field with Breidinger and company back there.
Eddie McDonald has sorted his issues out, running up in the 4th position now. He's actually starting to close in on that top 3 just a little bit. Walt Clow running in 5th, just behind him, about a second behind McDonald, as the field now starting to single file out, except for the back of this field, as there's Tanner Reef, currently sitting 3rd in points right now, 23rd on the racetrack, with John Moore to his outside.
And I don't think that's where Reef really wants to be. The fact that both those Sunrise Fords are at the tail end of this field right now, that is shocking.
24th and 27th, respectively, right now between those two cars, and they were so dominant. And already you can see at the back of the field, there's Corey Heim. These guys it didn't take long, about the quickest we've seen the race leader catch lap traffic. We're not even 20 laps in, and already we've reached around the back of this field.
This track, this race should go by very quickly.
That was a very slow exit for Heim.
Yes, it was, and I think that was because Allen jumped up to that upper lane. Heim tried to pinch it down so he didn't impede, but now that they're side by side, this is going to play into Quapple's hands, because he's now right behind Heim, and Andy Allen caught on that top shelf, not where he wants to be right now, as he is definitely showing that he's not that comfortable in the second lane.
And this has brought Eddie McDonald right back into the fray. First lap led of the season for Andy Allen in that number 22 as he crosses the line. Carson Quapple looking for his first laps led of the season as well. So is Andy McDonald. And now we haven't even gotten to the back of the field yet. These guys squabbling the way they are. Field's starting to come back around to them.
Still slowly gaining on the tail end of the field, but now that the tail end has gotten single filed out, that's not what these guys up in front want to do. Is Allen just sends it going into 3. Good grief.
Big run for the 22 of Allen, and he will clear the 20 of Corey Heim going into turn 1. Andy Allen to the front of the field for the first time, not just in this race, but in this season as well. Corey Heim stuck on the bottom. This will allow Eddie McDonald to get around to his outside. Walt Clow in the 46 there as well. 2nd through 5th in your picture right now.
And they're about to have some company, as that is Moore closing in on them like a man possessed. And it's kind of shocking that we're seeing that outside lane work as effectively this early as it is. I mean, yes, we're 25 laps into this 175 lap feature, but you would still expect the bottom lane to have a little more juice than it is, as something happened there to let the 20 get back clear of McDonald.
99 of Cole Moore working his way around on the inside of the 46, and we saw how Corey Heim was really keeping the fight, so to speak, with Allen and Quapple so close to him. Well, Allen certainly has shown the pace. He's already pulled a 2.5 on the 20. He has not been clear of the 20 for more than 5 laps. Already pulled a 2.5.
He is at that. I think, we're seeing what that team is truly capable of right now. The question is, they've had problems on the pit stops, Frank. Are they going to still have those problems here tonight? Because that's really what has been their death knell all season.
Certainly would not hope so, as we see Walt Clow on track right now, running in that 6th position, just behind the 99 of Cole Moore, who's been there pretty much all season. Now we take a look off the back of the man who finished 2nd last week. This is Dominic Lopez. Inside line starting to show a little bit of favor here, as all the way back there to Ty Majeski. This is 7th through 16th that you could see out the back of the 24.
It is at that, and I mean, it's just a log jam behind last week's winner, and those are some big names back there.
Sammy Smith, haven't really seen much of him this season at all. There is Colby Howard, the man who won at Thompson last week. Got a great restart, got the line that he needed when the run of caution stopped coming out. Take his first win of the season, his best race of the season by far and away. Austin Maynard there as well. This is just outside the top 10 at this moment. Corey Heim, Eddie McDonald, Carson Quapple have sort of calmed down, regaining status quo from earlier on as Allen now has officially caught the back of the field. That's Tanner Reef ahead of him.
Reef not having a good time the last couple of weeks. Normally we see both those Sunrise Fords in the top half of the field. It's very unnerving to see them this deep. Very uncharacteristic of that entire team, as normally those two Ford Mustangs are wound right up to 11, and they're battling for wins, not battling to stay on the lead lap.
Just looking through here, I know at least two of the guys running in the final 5 positions have won a race this season. Or pardon me, make it 3, with Wirtz winning at Wilkesboro. So 3 of the guys running in the final 5 positions right now have won a race. 4 of them have finished in the top 3 at some point this season.
As the 9 goes to the low side, as the flagger instructs, you get that blue flag out and they're going to push it to the inside, let you know that the leader is right behind you. And
it's baffling.
Allen's struggling. Allen is definitely struggling, and that's letting Heim reel him right back in.
The gap was about 1.5 seconds. It's now only 1 second between the 22 and the 20. But again, this is what we were talking about. I know it's baffling to see the 6 and the 9 having such a bad run right now compared to the run that we saw them have earlier on this season. But again, all of these guys at the same skill level, the same aggressiveness, the same ability to make a mistake. We meant to shuffle this season up, and that's exactly what we're doing. We have not seen one guy dominating every single week. We've seen the same cast of characters up at the front, but it has not been a dominant performance where one guy is winning every single week. We only have one guy who's won multiple races this season, one guy who's won multiple poles this season for that matter.
It absolutely has, and that's kind of refreshing to see, because normally, when we do a live race with, actual real world people behind the wheel, it's not uncommon to see the same 5 guys at the front of the field every week for qualifying, and we call them the usual suspects for a reason, because chances are, you're going to see same 5 guys start towards the front at the start, and then you're going to see the same 5 names appear in the closing laps of that race, because there are some guys that are, great qualifiers, and then there are guys who know how to save their equipment and know when to push and when to lay back a little.
See guys not laying back all that much here as Derek Griffith stuck on the inside in the 12, as the 22 of Andy Allen has not yet gotten around anyone as far as lap traffic is concerned. Corey Heim has gotten back up to him. Top 4 now all together, as Allen having a lot of trouble putting lap cars away here, which again is what we expected going into this season.
Well, the fact is that, Reef and Selzy are banging door to door. They're racing for position. Neither one of them wants to be the first car to go a lap down, and they're running their butts off right now to try to stay on that lead lap, as now McDonald looks to the inside of Allen.
Well, McDonald with that bad run coming out of that tight turn 2. Allen dives back down to the inside, but also with those two running side by side, not only are they racing for position between each other, they're also blocking that 22 out. He really can't make a pass, even if he wanted to. Running in the lead, you don't want to go 3 wide with lap cars.
You can't go 3 wide here. That will bring out a caution, I promise you. And I don't care if it's computer-controlled cars or not. 3 wide here does not work in the single iota. But right now, McDonald now has to work on the back of Reef, and we know how difficult Reef can be to pass, as Allen has gotten by him, but now he's jammed up behind. He's still hemmed up behind Gio Selzy and the other Sunrise Ford.
It's almost like deja vu for Andy Allen at this point, is now Allen getting pushed along on the inside by Tanner Reef and that number 9, the 16 of Selzy, able to at least move forward and try to help out that 22. Eddie McDonald has gotten away to the tune of a second over now Carson Quapple, who's taken over that third position from Corey Heim, as Heim continues his backward slide from starting on the pole. Lost the lead around lap 22 and has not been moving forward since.
And that's something we normally see out of Heim. He doesn't go hard at the beginning, but towards the end of a run, he's still chugging along and, battling for position towards the end of the tire run. Heim is probably one of the best out here right now at saving equipment towards the end of a run, as now he works to the inside of Quapple as Quapple pulls to the outside of McDonald. Battle for second, hot and heavy.
Quapple putting the attack on Eddie McDonald. Remember the mare of a race that McDonald had about a month or so ago at North Wilkesboro. Had a very good run to come back from that at Langley. From there has been running around between 10th and 15th, but now running up in second, by far and away his best run of the season thus far.
And McDonald looking for redemption at North Carolina tracks. As the last time we were in the state of North Carolina, McDonald went through 5 different left front A-arms on that car, and just beaten, battered, and bruised, but he was still chugging away at the end.
The group we have here, this is
Good
3rd
grief.
through 11th that we have on screen right now. At the front of it, Corey Heim in the 20. At the back of it, Wayne Stokes in the 92. Everybody here, everybody running side by side. Everyone's got a dancing partner. Corey Heim and Carson Quapple, Dominic Lopez and Walt Clow, Cole Moore, Parker Traves, Trevor Huddleston, Trevor Huddleston, the only one without a dance partner, because Austin Maynard has Wayne Stokes to his outside.
I love. We're getting spoiled, Frank. We really are. Because here we are, 60 laps into this piece already, and we have seen some great side-by-side action from the drop of the green, and they're not done yet. Battle for the lead here as Eddie McDonald looks to the inside of Andy Allen. Also notice Tanner Reef has gotten back around these guys. So Reef now back on the lead lap. And Eddie McDonald leading his first lap of the season. Congratulations, Eddie. There you go. He's at his home race at Thompson last week. Ended up upside down. As did a couple of others. Went about as well as it could have gone for the hometown race. Sure, why not? We will go no further north than Tennessee. Nashville, Tennessee will be the furthest north we will trek the rest of this season. Next up, Charlotte Motor Speedway, our main event of the season, will be at the big track at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Bristol coming up after that, the Nashville Fairgrounds, Southern National Motorsports Park, Hickory, and then Five Flags. The remaining races in the second half of the season. Again, furthest north we will go is Nashville. It's going to be quite a second half to the season, as once again the top 4 running line astern. They are at that, as right behind them. That is just an accident waiting to happen, as Walt Clow is filling the mirrors of last week's winner, and Cole Moore right there as well. So these guys have gotten single filed out, as we are fast approaching the halfway mark of this piece. Only about 20 laps left before we're at halfway. But, Frank, this has just been some amazing action at a very difficult track to get around. Absolutely. You see that blue little line that's going up and over the arch there, over the speed, that is throttle input. And you can see you're not matting the throttle pretty much until you get out of turn 2 from when you start braking to go into turn 1. Exactly. And the thing is, you're only on the trigger full tilt for maybe a second down the front chute. And a further split second coming from here. There's that big dark spot
that you see on the outside right at the wall under the Hoosier sign between between turns 2 and 3. That's where these guys are braking. That's where these guys are getting ready to dive into turn 3. If we take a look and see it right there, that dark spot right at the wall, that's the braking marker, so you're not full tilt even then for too long.
That dark spot, as you're calling it, that's actually a shadow from the light on the outside of this place. And if you think this place is beautiful during the day,
really?
Yeah, it's a shadow from the light. But
well, now we got to go on board because I'm not convinced. Not saying you're wrong. It looks like a lot of
right there.
Yeah,
that's a shadow from the light above you.
Oh well, there you go.
But I mean, this place is beautiful at night, and it really changes how you attack this place. Because, you know, if you've gotten the heat out of the track, you know, like especially after like a rain delay, you know, this track has gobs of grip when the track is cooler. Not so much right now as, I mean, track conditions north of 3 digits, not a good time.
No, absolutely not. It becomes very, very slick around here. As we're seeing this, a battle for 11th position just outside the top 10. Sammy Smith, Austin Maynard, last week's winner, Colby Howard. The 11 of Austin Herzog there as well. And then you got another battle. There is last week's third place finisher, Toni Breidinger. Or, pardon me, no, not she was a top 5 finisher last week, not the top 3. And right. Josh Berry, who you said has just won a race in real life here recently.
He has. As a matter of fact, the most recent time that the Cars Super Late Model Series was here, let me double check that fact for you. Yes. The last time the Cars Super Late Model Tour Series was here, matter of fact, the last 2 times they were here, Josh Berry won the 100-lapper and the 125-lapper back in 2017 for that series.
And unless something big happens here, it doesn't look like he's going to be winning this race today. Battling now with Blaine Roca in the 98 on the outside line for the 17th position, stuck behind the 45 of Sean Woodside. As these guys battle for 16th, all 5 of them. Derek Kraus there as well, and there's a big wad of cars as once again Gio Scelzi and Tanner Reeve running side by side, holding up Andy Allen and Eddie McDonald. Allen has the inside line. McDonald the clear run and the momentum on the outside. He will, just barely lead that lap, will the 17.
Yes, he does at that. Now, a couple of other big names that have come through here and have won recently. Back in 2007 for the UARA Stars Late Model Series, Matt DiBenedetto won here. In 2009, Robert Presley's son Coleman won here. Stephen Wallace has won here. And a name that is appearing quite a bit in the Whelen Southern Tour Modified Series, Teddy Christopher has won here quite a few times. The late great Teddy Christopher, a modified first ballot candidate for the Hall of Fame.
Having a couple of Hall of Fame battles right now on racetrack as the first group of 5 is trying to stay on the lead lap. The second group of 6 is trying to get position up towards the 17 in the race lead. Andy Allen is broken free now. He was side by side with Corey Heim for a moment. Carson Kvapil there as well. There's the 24 sticking his nose in there. That's Dominic Lopez. Boy, looking 3 wide is that 24 of Lopez. He's going to get through the middle. Is he going to be able to make the move stick? Yes, he does. 3 wide does work at Concord.
Only because Corey Heim was smart enough to back out of it. Good grief.
I think Carson Kvapil had a hand in that as well.
He did at that, and Dominic Lopez he's hungry for a win. You know, that kid he's been running up front most of the season. He wants victory lane here tonight at Concord.
Halfway
and we got the first round of pit stops.
Halfway point in this race. It's coming now. Andy Allen, Dominic Lopez, Corey Heim, Carson Quapple, Walt Clow, Wayne Stokes, Austin Maynard, Colby Howard, all in pit road. Trevor Huddleston was in pit road last time. Oh, big contact, up and over. Caution is out. That's the 9 of Reef.
Holy crap, he just tumbled. What on earth caused that?
Well, I guess 3 wide doesn't really work here at
Toe to toe.
Concord because that's what that was. That was 3 wide. Let's take a look and see once again. This was wild. We saw it happening just at the bottom of the screen where Reef tried to do what Lopez did, stick it up the middle, and man, that's a hard hit.
He bounced off his teammate, then bounces off to 75.
Oh, that's what happened. The 6 was coming down pit road. That's the only reason why they went 3 wide is because Drew was about to hit pit road. We'll ride on board with Reef here. He's coming down. He's way slow. Contact Doss and then just up and over.
And it happened right in front of your race leader, Andy McDonald, and how McDonald made it through there. I think we've got a Code Brown moment if we want to go on board with him.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it in just a moment, but here from above, the 6 is trying to get to pit road. Boy, there's McDonald really having a woe up there.
And the biggest beneficiary of all that was Gio Selzy, as he was able to stay on the lead lap, and everybody that was caught on pit road when that happened, they're now sitting a lap down.
That's on board the 17 of McDonald. And yeah, that really will shake up the running order here big time with all those guys that just went down pit road the lap before that was happening. Cole Moore, Mark Wirtz, Parker Traves, all these guys getting caught a lap down. Everyone has come down to pit road, and it looks as though in that pit cycle, the guys that came down pit road just as that caution was happening have gotten back on the lead lap or are going to be back on the lead lap via the wave around, which is coming right now. I think what we're going to end up seeing here
is a
caution.
Freight train on the low side.
Get the caution extended here at least another lap just to see these guys catch back up and not have the same incident that we had, or the same issue that we had at Thompson last week.
Probably a grand idea.
Now we're getting set to go back to green flag racing. So we'll reset the running order. Eddie McDonald, Sammy Smith, Toni Breidinger, your top 3. John Moore and Derek Kraus were the only 5 that were able to stay out prior to that caution coming out. Everyone else had been down pit road and has gotten their laps back via wave around. So the running order very much shuffled up. McDonald is off and running. We are back to green. Breidinger up to second as Sammy Smith falls away on the outside.
And Smith almost got caught asleep at the switch there. Is now he is under heavy pressure on that inside lane. And he does get clear as now here comes the 27 on the top lane.
Colby Howard at the 81 is not for position, nor is the 55. The 8 also right there as well, as now Mark Wirtz actually coming in. So is Parker Traves. I don't think these guys were able to finish their pit stops, or at least were on pit road when the caution came out. So this group of 6 right here, or 7, are all taking their pit stops they were trying to take right as the caution came out. So that has opened up a big gap in this field. Still, the 17 of McDonald down and away with the lead.
Breidinger keeping him honest, though, is, she's right there with him. And, the fact that she's that far forward this early in the race, we know she's a closer. We absolutely know that she can close out a race. I'm expecting good things out of that car here tonight as, she's not second place in points for no reason.
Toni Breidinger, 19th place is her average qualifying position. Her average race finishing position is 10th. So she's been a lot better racer as that same group of cars that came in a moment ago have come in again. Now I'm not sure if this is an AI issue or not, but it's
speeding penalties.
That's
because as quick as Kraus was down and away, those were speeding penalties.
That was for all of them except, including Andy Allen.
Self-inflicted wounds for the 12 again. Or 22, I mean.
We'll see if they come back down pit road again. If they do, that would have to be a sure sign of an incident or an issue with the AI. Here comes Selzy, here come Roca again. Derek Kraus coming in again. Parker Traves in again. Yeah, these guys, there's an AI issue that's forcing these guys to continue to pit, I think.
I'm thinking let's see how long they're on pit road for. Are they getting any services?
I think.
How long are they staying?
I think they're done, actually. Yeah, they're
not
out on track anymore. Derek Kraus out.
Oh, wow.
Selzy out. Allen out. Huddleston out. Traves out. Barry, Roca, Wirtz all out.
Well, that's an interesting kerfuffle.
I wonder if it has something to do with that, with the caution coming out when it did. And where those guys were in relation. So that's odd. So we've now had 9, 10 cars retire
so far, yeah.
With no damage. Dawson
Reef is still on pit road trying to get that car fixed, as is Doss.
Yeah, they're trying to. They're not out of the race yet. But again, the 10 guys that we just mentioned, Kraus, Selzy, Allen, Huddleston, Traves, Berry, Roca, and Wirtz, actually 8, pardon me.
Take a look at the gap our front two have gotten to. McDonald and Breidinger, only half a second separates the two of them, and then you're almost 2 full seconds back to that Kyle Busch Motorsports 51 sitting in third, and this is strange. I mean, I knew it was going to be a weird race here tonight because of how different this track is. I didn't think it was going to be this strange, Frank.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we'll do right now is we'll try to sort it out. We'll try to figure out what the heck just happened under this caution. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You are watching round number 10 of the Super Late Model AI Series from Concord Speedway. We'll be right back after this. Drivers that took time, all of them within 3.5 tenths of each other tonight is going to be a very closely competitive race.
As the field works its way out of the 3-4 complex, the only thing that's left to say is wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point safety harness, because race fans, It's showtime!
Some amazing looking cars already. Green flag will fly.
Well, oh, they're wrecking! Well, one thing that you're going to see at this track that we haven't seen the last few weeks is a surface that's multi-group. I think this is the first multi-group surface we're going to have.
After an amazing race at Daytona, we now come to the left coast and Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for the second round of the Way She Goes Racing League Cup Series.
Drivers that took time, all of them within 3.5 tenths of each other tonight is going to be a very closely competitive race.
As the field worked its way out of the 3-4 complex, the only thing that's left to say is wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point safety harness, because race fans, it's showtime!
Some amazing looking cars already. Green flag will fly.
Well, oh, they're wrecking! Well, one thing that you're going to see at this track that we haven't seen the last few weeks is a surface that's multi-group. I think this is the first multi-group surface we're going to have.
After an amazing race at Daytona, we now come to the left coast and Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for the second round of the Way She Goes Racing League Cup Series.
Back to live action here from Concord Speedway in Concord, North Carolina. You are watching a battle for, well, the first position in the for the lucky dog. Those are the words I was looking for. As Corey Heim currently running in 12th. Jake Drew, is the only other one battling the 99 of Cole Moore for a spot back on the lead lap. Eddie McDonald has broken away in the race lead from Toni Breidinger by over a second. However, Breidinger has 2.5 seconds over this battle here between Sammy Smith in the 51 and John Moore in the 27. Another 2 seconds down the road. The 92 of Wayne Stokes currently running in the 5th spot with Dominic Lopez hot on his heels as we're coming down to about 40 to go.
I mean, you take a look at your top 7 right now, Frank. All 7 of those drivers are due. You know, we haven't seen the seasons out of those drivers that we were kind of expecting to see, but all those drivers still, I believe, winless on the season, looking to crank one off. And, you know, we had high hopes for all 7 of them when the season first opened.
Only one driver currently running in the top 10 right now has a win on the season. A couple of them have finished as high as second. But other than that, only the 45 of Sean Woodside, who you see on your screen right now, he is the only one that has managed to win a race this season.
And the fact that, you know, everybody was able to avoid that melee that took place to bring out the first caution tonight. And ouch.
Still rolling.
That is a graphics card wanting to throw up.
Well, there you go. John Moore still in close contact with the 51 of Sammy Smith. 81 of Colby Howard. Currently running in the 14th position right now. He is battling with the 12 of Derek Griffith right behind him. So one group battling for second, the other group battling for 14th.
Absolutely. Frank, what do you say we step away, pay a couple bills while we try to
we'll
kick at the generator in the production truck?
Yeah, all right. We'll step aside one more time here just so we can get Toni back up and running here. Right back to Concord Speedway about as quick as you like, as we have now just 33 laps to go. Eddie MacDonald currently holding a 0.3 of a second lead over Toni Breidinger. John Moore is right there running in the third position, what would be by far and away his best finishing position of the season. Walt Clow battling with Carson Quapple and Sean Woodside, that for seventh.
As Clow holding down that low side, is now Woodside pulls alongside Quapple. Down the front chute they come. And just side by side since the drop of the green flag came out, Frank, at the start of this race, we've seen guys not giving an inch. No quarter asked for, no quarter given. And it's only been the daring that have ever tried to take it three wide here. It worked out for the 24, not so much for the 9.
We got a 50-50 success rate here with three wide. But to be fair, that second event of three wide was not planned and not expected for that matter. As we'll take a really quick look back and see what that second bit of three wide was able to bring, which was the first caution, the first and only caution thus far of the night. There is the 6 of Jake Drew trying to get to pit road, the 9 of Tanner Reef, door-to-door contact, 75 an innocent bystander, and the 17 free and clear in the race lead. Got a heck of a view of that.
Did at that, as McDonald was able to get by the 75 once that caution came out, and unfortunately 75 got trapped a lap down because he was involved in the incident that caused the caution.
They're both still in pit road trying to repair damage to get out for these final 25 laps. As we're seeing a battle right now for the 7th spot. Dominic Lopez has it. Ty Majeski, Austin Herzog, Walt Clow, Carson Quapple all looking to get it. Cole Moore not on the lead lap in that number 99, was pinned in pit road by that caution coming out. Corey Heim, another car that was caught unlucky in pit road in that JBL number 20, trying to work his way back up.
Struggling right now, caught behind all that kerfuffle in front of him, as Moore finally gets clear of Quapple and is able to get down to a normal racing line coming through 3. As here comes Heim on the top side on Quapple.
Quapple trying to avoid falling back. Now those two were running first and second for a good, decent portion of this race just prior to the pit stop cycle. As we see the 45 of Sean Woodside running away in the 6th position. Woodside, biggest mover of the race, plus 19 at this point. Dominic Lopez trying to keep Ty Majeski and Austin Herzog behind him in a battle for 7th.
A lot of hot and heavy battles going on right now. As with 20 to go, Breidinger has really closed the gap on our race leader, McDonald. That gap was out to over a second and a half before, now down to just over half a second, as she's keeping the race leader in check. But again, one of the best drives we have seen so far this season out of that 17 MA of McDonald. Repping Massachusetts down here south of the Mason-Dixon, and showing them that we know how to race up north too.
Absolutely. McDonald starting to pull a little bit of lead. It's only a couple hundredths of a second a lap between these two, and once they cross the line here, we'll get you the last 5 laps that these two have run together. There is McDonald, just about a hundredth of a second quicker, but those hundredths add up after a while as Breidinger continues to fall back.
Breidinger just kind of hanging back there. McDonald's really the one that's pushing the pace right now. As you take a look at his last handful of lap times, 16.3, 16.3, 16.3. With 16 to go, that's impressive that he's able to maintain that. But the question is, what's going to happen in the next 15 laps? Because it looks like Breidinger's starting to ever so slow. No, he's still pulling a gap on her. Never mind.
Couple hundredths of a second. The difference again is his biggest advantage has been about 2.5. My goodness, 2 hundredths of a second, about 25 hundredths of a second has been his biggest advantage a lap. We'll bring it up again. Oh, there's 35 that last time around. We'll see what it is this time. Breidinger has been slower than McDonald for about the last 7 or 8 laps now. 31. Yeah, she's fallen back. She's either saving tires for the last 10 laps, or she just does not have the pace to knock off the 17 on this day.
I think it's more of she doesn't have the pace right now because she's running a little bit more conservative of a setup, thinking that she was going to be deep in this field, and she wants that car more, able to drive it wherever she needs to, as opposed to being it more free and really going after it like McDonald's probably set up right now. And you can hear how long she's off the throttle going into turn 1, and doesn't really get to full song at all. Whereas McDonald, you can hear him starting to bounce the chip going into 1.
It's just, and to be fair, Breidinger was stuck in the field for quite some time. It was really the caution that brought her back up to the front of this field to where she is right now. 9 laps to go. McDonald catching the back of Maynard in 29. That is to put Maynard a lap down. Jake Drew there as well. That would be to put him 3 laps down off the race lead. Here's
the other thing. With Heim running as deep in this field as he is, Breidinger doesn't have to win this race to take over the points lead, so she's thinking long ball too. So she's not wanting to really, beat the hell out of her equipment right now, and she's going to come out of here with the points lead.
This will be Breidinger's 3rd time sitting atop the point standings this season thus far, as Dominic Lopez now starting to lose a couple of positions here, has already lost one to Sean Woodside, battling now with Ty Majeski in the 91, who's looking for his best finish of the season. Is Majeski. Cole Moore not on the lead lap at the moment, as we now have just 6 laps to go. McDonald out to a 2nd lead over Toni Breidinger with 5 to go.
McDonald having the run of the season so far for that 17 MA crew. This is what I expected to see out of McDonald earlier in the season, but we're finally seeing it here in the second half. And with the anomaly of Wilkesboro and then going over last week at Thompson, I dare say that they have performed an exorcism on that car, and all the bad juju is gone.
Seeing a lot of different guys having good second halves or good starts to the second half of the season. One of those guys would be the 27 of John Moore, who is in the perfect spot right now. No one in front of him, no one behind him, looking for his best finish of the season, currently running in third. He's been in last place in points a vast majority of this season. These last couple weeks he has really come to.
And another one that's a shocker that has been as deep in the field as he normally is.
Oh,
this is the best run we've seen out of Smith, as Breidinger really closes in on McDonald, as that's her teammate right in front, really holding up the race leader on the white flag lap, side by side into 3.
Yep, here we go, coming into turn 3. If Breidinger's going to do it, it's going to be now, coming through 3. Breidinger is ahead, side by side at the line. It's going to be McDonald taking the win, but not by much. What a finish here at Concord.
Half a fender is all he got her by. Good grief, what a close. We've said it before that Toni Breidinger is a closer. And, she really made a good race out of that on the final lap.
That was great. She had just nosed ahead right as they were heading out of turn 3, but the momentum was able to carry on the outside line, and Breidinger misses out on her first win by at least what my timing and scoring is saying, by 1/100th of a second.
Good grief.
Take yourself an extra lap, Eddie. You certainly earned it. We'll see what the top ticker says. Oh no, it says pit now, so we won't be able to see until we bring up the final results. But what a finish to that race. I mean, a half a mile ago we were saying Ash is a second behind, he's got no shot. But boy, did the 20 of Corey Heim really play the team game, trying to get that 25, her first win of the season.
He was trying, but it just came up just a tick short on that one. But, what a race for Eddie McDonald. He's finally able to put one together. Had a good qualifying attempt. Led laps early. His first laps of the season were led in the first half. And then coming home with the victory by half a fender over your series points leader. The second half should be good for Eddie McDonald going on to the rest of the season.
The second half thus far has been wild. An unbelievable night at Thompson last week, and then a photo finish here at Concord. And next week we go to the closest thing we can get to a super speedway race. We go to Charlotte next week. Man, that one's going to be crazy.
Oh, it absolutely should be. I mean, it's going to be the biggest track we're going to go to all season at the 1.5 mile quad oval. And what you're going to see next week is going to be rather indicative to what we would normally see at a place like Daytona or Talladega, where the draft is going to play such a huge factor, especially down that back chute at Charlotte. I'm expecting we're going to see speeds probably 170 miles an hour by the time they haul it into turn number 3.
Absolutely. It is going to be an incredible race just up the road here at Charlotte next week. But we'll take a look now at the final results for today's race. By 0.14 of a second, Eddie McDonald takes his first win of the season, denying Toni Breidinger her first victory of the season. John Moore rounds out the podium finishers. Sammy Smith and Wayne Stokes, another top 5 finish for the number 92, coming home in 5th. Sean Woodside, Ty Majeski, Dominic Lopez, Austin Herzog, and Carson Quapple round out the top 10. Walt Clow, Austin Maynard, and Corey Heim rounding out the drivers that finish on the lead lap. Colby Howard, last week's winner, is the first car a lap down this week. Derek Griffith coming home in 15th.
Cole Moore, Jake Drew, Jeremy Doss, Andy Allen, your pole sitter, coming home in the top 20 with Gio Selzy rounding out the top 20. Derek Kraus, Trevor Huddleston, Josh Berry, Blaine Roca, Parker Trays, Mark Wirtz, and Tanner Reef all getting caught up in that kerfuffle that brought out the first caution. Some of those guys that finished outside of the top 15 were victim of circumstances. They had just come down pit road and were trapped on pit road when the caution flew.
And Jeremy Doss was just able to get his car back out onto the racetrack. Otherwise, he would have finished 16th. Goes from 26th all the way up to 18th with that finish just by coming out and running that last handful of laps or so. That will do it for us here tonight. Coming up here on ESPN, tomorrow will be the ISNF Cup Series. They will be at Daytona running their duels tomorrow. No. Oh, okay, so we don't
duels were today. We're running the 500 tomorrow at 3:30.
Oh, okay, so the 500 is going to be tomorrow. So that is the opening round of the season for the ISNF Cup Series. Then following that will be the Sunday Night NASCAR Series. They will be at Pocono Raceway coming up tomorrow night. On Monday, the CleanRacing.net Truck Series round number 4 will be at Pocono Raceway, an 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time start coming at you at this Monday. Then on Tuesday, it'll be the AARL Truckers Feed America Cup Series round number 2 from Atlanta, another 8:20 start on Tuesday. The Rick Motec Cup Series will head to Darlington Raceway, a difficult race at the early part of the season for the Rick Motec guys. That will be an 8:40 p.m. Eastern Time start. And then the nightcap, the Western States Racing League, round number 4 from Indianapolis, a 10:05 p.m. Eastern Time start for those guys. So for my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso, I am Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. We will see you from the big track at Charlotte Motor Speedway coming up next week. Good night, everybody.